When I read the review of the game, and I think it was Eurogamer, they talked about like where's the defense in the game, and there was some, but not near enough. And so it ended up being like a wonderful piece of bubblegum, but it ran out of flavor really quickly, and there wasn't a real strong reason to keep playing it. This was the easiest game. Talking about that other team about games, happy people make good games. This was the easiest game I had ever worked on, and I think Scott would agree. I think a lot of the teammates would agree that it just felt not effortless at all. It was everything's a challenge, but it kind of came together. People had fun working on it. It was definitely enjoyable. But it just couldn't deliver because we never made a game like it. We should have built more strategy. We should have built more team stuff. We should have built a meta into it. Because, the goal of it really was to make something that played like NBA Jam. And I think we did do that, but it needed more by the time it came out. What I will say though is, I'm not being too hard on myself. I love this game, but it didn't have a lot of staying power. Even for me, I love playing it, and after 2 rounds, I'm good for a while. And that's a fault of the game design. That's not me being hard. That's just me being honest. But the thing that the thing that really was a good lesson here, was that, again, back to the team, this was originally designed to be a R. Crumb inspired. If you don't know R. Crumb, he's an X-rated, hard R-rated cartoonist. So there was meant to be nudity and crazy little sex happening in the windows, and it was meant to, be very bawdy and R-rated and all this shit. And the guys on the team, a number of them were seriously religious people, and they took issue with that. And instead of either pushing back or going, okay, well, I respect that you don't want to do that, but we're not going to make this Warner Brothers because this won't sell. And I just didn't really think about it enough. And I was like, okay, well, job well done. It's a brand new company and we've avoided half the team being pissed, but that wasn't a real success because fundamentally this was basically a PS3 launch window game. And no one that went out and spent $6.99 or $5.99 was going to be interested in something that, no matter how good or bad it played, looked like a game for your little brother. And I should have realized that was a fight worth fighting. Or an executive should have realized. Like I'm saying, people give executives a hard time. A good executive is worth their weight in fucking gold. I don't know how much people weigh when it comes to gold, but because somebody should have pulled somebody aside and said, look, I know you're the shit right now, Jaffe, because you just came off God of War. You got all these awards, everybody blah, blah, blah. But you're sailing into some choppy waters. I want to make sure you know that. The audience for this, you've basically just sort of designed yourself out of the audience in order to not make the religious people on the team upset. And I absolutely should have either recognized it or had someone else recognize it, and I should have been open to it, but I never heard that. The other thing I'll say is that, again, if you look at the game, it would not have taken much to make this just a game people are still playing today. There's the defense, like watch what happens. So you've got the hammer so you can steal it, but watch the guy who's got the criminal, right? If somebody's driving with the criminal right now. There's very little, yes, there is a gameplay mechanic where you can jump to avoid the hammer, but it was so hard to do. And like, look at this, nothing that guy could have done. So what ends up happening is, as frantic and fun as it is for a couple of rounds, when you start to feel like there's nowhere else to go when it comes to your ability to grow and learn and be successful, it's too shallow. Right? There was a little bit of depth built in, but there was not near enough. And that's frustrating because you look at it now and after I read that, that's one of the reasons I've always been grateful for reviews that are negative but helpful. Like the IGN review for Drawn to Death was crude and rude and disrespectful and just crap, Bush League. But I mean, they have their right. What do I care? But we got a similar score. They gave us a 4 out of 10. Owen Good over at Polygon gave us a 5 out of 10. It wasn't much better, obviously. Really, Jaffe? We can't do math. But it was smart. And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn. I've learned stuff from his review. I learned from this game that it's like, dude, that review at Eurogamer that was like, where's your defense? Where are those mechanics? This level here, man, this level's nuts because the camera is, it doesn't move. It doesn't really, it tracks, but it doesn't rotate, right? And you don't have any camera control because we wanted it to be very, very, very simple and to pick up and play. And the way this was solved, I don't know if, you probably can't tell how we solved it because basically originally when we had this level, we wanted the trains, but people were running into the trains all the time because the way the camera is, you don't know when the train is going to be there. So you run smack dab into it. It's like, what the fuck? So eventually someone recognized the solution, which is there's invisible collision detection on all the trains. So no matter when you hit the train, if you're coming at it, there are ramps on the train. So you'll see in a second, he'll come into the screen and he'll probably hit a train, but it won't slow down the pace of the game because see that he jumps, and he'll probably hit another one right here. So it let us get the level that we wanted, without, sacrificing the trains. So, it was cool. It was a really fun experience. I can't port this to mobile. I'm not a programmer. I don't have the code. It's PS3 architecture. The guy who, he wasn't Scottish, but he was great. He's like, it's a hot potato. And you can use that for ramps too. It was great. Really fun game. Could have been even greater, but